Welcome to Fit and Flow Yoga Radio. Sit down and tune into the show, tuning out the world around you. This hour will be filled with the serenity and peace you will need from my mat to yours. I am your host, Sherrell, and we will be getting started with your journey in a moment. Hello, everyone. My name is Sherrell, and I'm your host for Fit and Flow Yoga. This is my first show, and you're probably wondering, who is Sherrell? What is Fit and Flow Yoga Radio all about? And I'm so glad that you asked, because I'm so excited. Once again, my name is Sherrell, and I am a registered yoga and certified fitness instructor. I'm also a dancer, writer, speaker, wife, sister, mother, and your friend. I came up with my business of Fit and Flow Yoga with Sherrell to provide Christ-centered yoga and fitness classes for those seeking a mind-body connection that was in line with their faith. And so when you tune into my shows, you will explore how to incorporate yoga into your everyday life, and also incorporate meditation, various yoga postures, and how you will be able to use these tools to aid in relieving stress. So that's what the show is really going to be focused on, and breaking it down into everyday terms so that everybody can understand it, because this thing is so not complicated. We're also going to be discussing the numerous health benefits of yoga and how to make that connection between fitness and faith through our weekly meditative moment. That is going to be at the end of our shows, where we will take a moment to reflect and focus and spend some time in meditation. And then as my gift to you, because you're such amazing listeners, I'm going to be adding the cherry on top by periodically recording and sharing some of my yoga videos with you all to assist with your own yoga journey. And I hope that is something that you're interested in. Once again, I'm so excited to be starting this show this morning. I'm so glad that you're joining me. And before we go any further, I want to take a moment to thank some of our amazing sponsors for sponsoring the show this morning. Today's sponsor is Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/MWHYLLC. Once again, we thank Audible.com for their sponsorship. I want to get started with my first show for Fit and Flow Yoga Radio, and today's segment is going to be focusing on stress. But this show is going to be supporting National Sleep Awareness. So every year there are various health observations, and for the month of March, there's a week in March that supports sleep awareness. And I thought it was great, with many of us dealing with falling back. Springing forward. Our time springing forward, so we have more daylight, which definitely affects me. I feel a lot more rejuvenated, a lot more energized when there's more daylight out. But what's keeping you up at night? That's what we're going to be focusing on today. And a lot of times, I can speak for myself, one of the number one things that keeps me up at night is stress. And so we're going to talk a little bit about stress and what are some stress causers? What is stress? Is stress good? Is it bad? Do we need it in our lives? So according to sleep experts, stress is the number one cause for short-term sleeping difficulties. So stress is really a big hindrance for a lot of us that can't get any sleep at night, or we toss and we turn. We either don't get any, we don't get enough, or the sleep is interrupted. And some of the biggest stressors, you'd be very surprised, have to do with just regular everyday life. According to research, big events such as marriage, divorce, pregnancy, death, new jobs, retirement, and caring for our families during good times and bad, even caring for our families during times when there's illnesses. So those are some of our biggest stressors that we have just on an everyday basis. And when I was looking for some research on this, I thought it was so amazing, kind of the correlation between, for example, marriage and divorce. Look, you have both ends of the spectrum. You have marriage, a happy time, a time of joyous occasion, and then on the other side of the spectrum, for a lot of people that deal with separation and divorce, a time where there may even be a mourning of the marriage. Both of those things can be characterized as stressors. Also, I thought it was interesting, pregnancy/birth, and as well as death. Such a joyous occasion with pregnancy, but I'm sure many mothers know that comes with a lot of stress. And then death, maybe death of a friend, a family member, mourning that loss, that person that's been in your life, but always knowing that they're there with you in spirit. The spirit never dies. All of these things are stressors. So a lot of times when we automatically think about stress, we think that is something negative. But as I've already mentioned, you have some good things that can bring stress to your life, such as a new job, caring for a new child, a marriage, an engagement. All those things can also bring about stress in our lives. And we have to really know how to deal with it, because stress is not going anywhere, unfortunately. Some of us have more stress than others. For a lot of people, some people naturally have a high-stress job. Some of us don't, and maybe the stress comes from trying to balance family life and maybe other obligations. So everybody's stress levels of stress may be different, but we all have stress. That's one thing I'm sure that we all can agree upon. But I thought that in just doing my research, it was so interesting that even those wonderful times in our life, they can also bring stress. And so the next thing we want to talk a little bit about are the differences between good and bad stress. So just take a moment to think about what that means, and maybe you didn't even know it was a difference. You know, for a lot of us, stress is just stress. It doesn't feel good, so it has to be bad. But there really is a difference between good stress and bad stress. And good stress is good for us. Good stress is usually short-term, and it usually motivates us. So what does that mean exactly? So let me give you an example. An example of good stress may be meeting a deadline, pregnancy, because we all know pregnancy isn't going to last forever. It may seem like it's going to last forever, but it doesn't. As I mentioned, meeting a work deadline or working on a short-term project at work. So good stress is something that is short-term, and it tends to motivate you, or there's some type of outcome. There's some type of end in sight. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you tend to have a little bit more control over good stress. And so that's good. And then you have bad stress. So what does that mean? A lot of us put all stress into the bad category. But bad stress can be short-term or it can be long-term. For some of us, it can feel like it's very long-term, but the stress leaves you feeling a sense of helplessness. You feel like there's no end in sight. There's no outcome there's no outcome in sight, and it can be long or short term. So those are the differences between good and bad stress. And a lot of times, for most of us, there's another category called chronic stress. And I'm sure everybody's like, yep, that's me. I fall into that category. Chronic stress is ongoing. There's no short term. There's no long term. It just seems to go on and on and on. And some of the things that I want everyone to understand in the radio show today is that all stress, whether it's good stress or bad stress, it triggers the fight or flight response in your body. And I'm sure you've heard this before. When I was reading about it, I automatically went back to school and was like, oh, yeah, I remember hearing this in school. And so your body, as soon as your body feels stress, there's a fight or flight method, and it's exactly what it means. It's either going to try to fight or it wants to flee, it wants to flight. And so your body can't necessarily tell the difference between good stress and bad stress, so you have that reaction to the good stress, the bad stress, and chronic stress. And where stress comes into play with our health is the fact that when you deal with bad stress, that sometimes tends to be long-term, it can wreak havoc on your body. I can't tell you the number of people that I talk to, even me myself, I've dealt with stress and the effects that stress can have on your body. Myself, I've had hair loss from dealing with stress. I've had weight loss, loss of energy, feeling fatigue. All those types of things are effects of how stress affects your body when it's not managed properly. And we're going to get to that later on in the show, and also talk about some tools that yoga can provide to help alleviate the stress and allow you to get some sleep at night. But we want to, just continue to focus on the stress and just take a moment to just think a little bit about what in your life brings you stress, and when you deal with that stress, how does it make you feel? Does your neck tighten up? A lot of people tend to tense or clench their jaws, not even realizing it until maybe somebody brings it up. I know for me, a funny story I want to share. I remember being at work years ago, probably back in 2003, and I was sitting at my desk and somebody called for me. I didn't realize it turned my whole body around. Like, I didn't just turn my neck, I turned my whole body around. And they said, why is your neck so stiff like that? And I was like, what do you mean? They were like, well, I'm right behind you. Why didn't you just turn around? You turned your whole body, like in one motion. And it really wasn't until someone mentioned it that I realized, oh, wow, like my neck feels stiff, my shoulders feel like bricks. And at that time, I did seek out help, working with massage therapists, discovering yoga, and a lot of those things really were alleviated. But a lot of times, we don't even realize how we carry stress in our bodies until somebody mentions it. Maybe the way the wrinkle above your eyebrows wrinkle up when you get upset or you're stressed. Those are some of the things that we need to really start paying attention to. How does our body react to stress? No matter how big or how small it's affected, it is affected from, a tight neck, shoulders, maybe limited hip mobility, not wanting to eat, definitely a change in your eating habits. All those things can possibly be attributed to stress. And stress has a common running theme from the good stress, the bad stress, and the chronic stress, and that's control. I've already mentioned a little bit about the fact that good stress is okay is because it's short-term and you tend to have a little bit more control over it. And the control comes with there's an outcome. There's some type of end in sight. So you feel a little bit more in control of the situation. When you have a deadline at work, your creative juices are flowing. You want to make the deadline, so you have that little added pressure that feels good, but it's just enough to motivate you to get to the outcome, and then you're done. With bad stress and chronic stress, there's no end in sight for a lot of us, or at least that's the way that we feel. And then our body is in that fight or flight mode for a longer period of time. And so it goes on day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And for many of us, and for myself, I can speak on that story that I just shared. For me, looking back on it, my neck had probably been tight for years and stiff, and nobody brought it to my attention. And eventually, my body just kind of got used to it. I got used to it, and it felt like the norm. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of us deal with stress in life. We feel the effects in our body. We get used to it because it's not addressed. And then that stress manifests itself in different parts of our bodies, and we just get accustomed to the way that that feels until maybe somebody brings it to our attention, or unfortunately maybe some type of life event happens where it wreaks havoc in other areas of your body that is more serious. So it's definitely something we want to pay attention to. We want to identify stressors in our life. We want to call them out, call the stress out on notice, and make sure that we know what those stressors are so that when we feel or see the triggers, it's all about identifying the triggers. And when you know what your triggers are, you can prepare for that stress that may be brought about. Sometimes you can avoid, the triggers come and you can prepare yourself. And in preparing yourself, what I mean more so is how to manage the stress, because we all know the stress isn't going to go away. So we have to really, really learn how to manage it. And I want to refer you to an article that I wrote recently, and it was dealing with relaxation, mind, body, and soul. And I think one of the elements that is so important with many of us, especially those of us that are the Christian faith, is to really learn how to rely on Jesus, rely on God in bringing relaxation to us. So many of us, we know the Scripture, but do we actually allow it to, do we meditate on the Scripture? That's really what I'm saying. Allow that word to meditate throughout your body. Really believe it, stand on faith, believing that that promise is true, not for someone else, not for Sherry down the street, not for your cousin, but for you. Do you believe in your heart of hearts, deep down in your soul, that when the word says, cast your cares upon him because he cares for you, do you really, really believe that? And are you able to believe it and accept it for your own circumstances? And when you are, I can tell you that the stress won't go away, but you'll have a newfound sense of peace, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that God is with you, there to carry the load for you. So I just want to impress upon you just the spiritual aspect that comes along with dealing with stress. And you can read the rest of my article at faithandfitnessmagazine.com. Once again, the article is called Mind, Body, and Soul. It's a article on relaxation, and there's also a short yoga flow attached that you can do in the morning, midday, or at night to bring a little bit of relaxation to your mind, body, and soul. So for those that are like, I don't do yoga, I don't know anything about yoga, it's a very, very easy flow. It's specifically for beginners, so even if you've never done yoga before or you're deconditioned, meaning that you haven't done a lot of movement, you don't have a movement history, or you haven't been exercising in a while, that's okay. You have to start somewhere. We all started somewhere. So I think it would be great for you just to read up on that article, check out the flow, and let me know how you like it. So we're coming up on our first commercial break. We're going to tune back in after the break to continue to talk a little bit more about stress and the importance of sleep and how yoga can help.
Hey, Chef Jovi here of the Eatsperience radio show. Join me 10 a.m. every Thursday to explore recipes, best restaurants, and food spots in and around the country. I look forward to receiving your comments, so follow us on Spreaker.com to tune into the show. That's SPREAKER.com. And search MWHY Radio to join me every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Eatsperience radio show. And remember to share your Eatsperience.
The Queen Esther Radio Show is live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me, Jessica Taylor,
and me, Jason Mosley, to be entertained by authors, artists, and spiritual leaders.
We look forward to being a blessing in your life every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Only on the MWHY Radio Network.
Are you frustrated, disappointed, discouraged with your life? Are you angry with God? What's holding you back from fulfilling your purpose? Are you struggling as a leader in ministry? Do you believe you have an end-time calling? If you answered yes to any of these questions, tune in to The Waymakers on MWHY Radio Network every other Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are here to support you. Join us to get the answers that will prepare the way of the Lord in your life.
Hey, this is Coffee Black, coming through to bring you the latest in sports, celebrity, and entertainment news. Here's The Sip this week. So we all heard about Giuliana Rancic and her racist joke about Zendaya's faux-locks. Well, Kelly Osbourne has quit Fashion Police over the comment. I'm questioning whether she quit over that or if it was just a decent enough reason, because we all know she don't get along with Kathy Griffin. Moving on. Keisha Cole and her estranged husband were supposed to be given another try until she put him on blast on Instagram for texting a video girl. But wasn't she just flipping out on Birdman? I guess I just don't understand these rules of this new age marriage. Lastly, hopefully you made it out of Charlotte and CIAA uninjured. Shots rang out during a day party with Jeezy and T.I. 2 people were injured and hospitalized. Where was security at, though? I'm just saying. Make sure you check out my site, thesipwithcoffeeblack.com, and tune in next week to The Sip with Coffee Black. No sugar, no cream.
Welcome back, everyone, from our commercial break. Before we get started, I want to once again thank our sponsors for the radio show. Today, we will be highlighting Total Woman Wellness. During the Total Woman Wellness Show, a new segment is starting called Ask the Nurse. If you can text ADTY4D to 24587 and then add your question and hit send, or tweet it to @Delia Watkins and hashtag Ask the Nurse. Thank you so much for the Ask the Nurse sponsorship. We really appreciate that. Getting back to our show, talking about the significance of sleep, and first starting out with stress and what that means for all of us in our everyday lives. So this show is really focusing on sleep awareness, and I think that sleep is so underrated. There's actually, when you hear people talk about sleep, it's almost as if, I don't need a lot of sleep, like that's something to be celebrated. And I think as we grow in our society, there are different jobs that people have, different sleep patterns, so there's no one-size-fits-all. So there may not be, I can't say for you, Jane, that you require 8 hours of sleep and you, Tom, need 6 hours. I think it really just depends on your lifestyle, but I believe that in the end, your body will let you know when it's sleep deprived, and your body will let you know when it's had adequate amount of sleep. However, a lot of times we tend to ignore those signals that our body gives us. And that's why I have a passion for yoga, because yoga really allows you to tune into your body and allow the outside distractions to fade away and to really tune in to hear what your body's telling you. Your body's not necessarily it's not a machine. and a lot of times that's the way people treat their bodies. They just treat it like a machine. I feed it, I get a little bit of sleep, and it'll run all day. And that's not really the way God designed us. Going back to the article that I was speaking about before, I want to share a scripture with you because I believe that God gave us a perfect example in the Bible. And I want to refer everyone to Genesis 2:3, and it says, "So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work that he had done in creation. Even God, the creator of the universe, rested," meaning he ceased from work. God provides us with the perfect example to follow, to work, then rest and relax. Isn't that so great, everybody? I love that. And that comes again from Genesis, the second chapter, the third scripture. It's just amazing that we have those perfect examples, but for some reason, we get caught up in the day-to-day and we forget those things. Even God rested. So there's nothing wrong with working really hard, with prioritizing. I know a lot of people pride themselves on being able to multitask. That's the thing. I'm able to multitask my BlackBerry, my iPhone, my workout, my family, my work and church and other activities, and I am Superwoman. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it's okay. There's no need for a breakdown. Balance is something that is not constant. It's something that you have to continue to seek. And part of that comes with sleep. So you may have some sleepless nights. However, when it comes to the point where it becomes chronic, there's a pattern there where you're sleep deficient. Therein lies the problem. And sleep is so, so important. A lot of people don't realize how important it is. But sleep is important because it is so important to the healing and repairing of our heart and blood vessels. So the way God designed us, and even in the beginning with him, he allowed time to rest. And so we have to really take that example and make it a part of our lives. Give ourselves time to rest, to sleep, to allow the healing process to really take place. A lot of healing in our body can't take place, but we're constantly moving. We're constantly shuffling and moving from here to there. And we just need time to rest so that we can restore, so that our body can rebuild and be the best, and be in the best shape that it can be for what God has for us all to do. Because we all have goals, we all have desires, and we all have a purpose for being here. So we only have one body. This is all we're going to get. So we have to really try to take care of it the best way that we can. And we may not always get it right every single day, but if we will keep that at the forefront to have some balance with work and rest, there will be some balance. So going back a little bit to some of the benefits of sleep, I've already spoken about the healing process, that downtime, allowing your body to heal, allowing your body to repair. Sleep is so important for the brain to work properly, so that you can think clearly, so that there can be some clarity. And I think a lot of people can identify with this. When you don't have enough sleep, you're sluggish, your reaction time tends to be off a little bit. Sometimes you have a hard time processing. Those are things that are associated with not getting enough sleep. Sleep is very important to hormone balance as well, and it's also important to your immune system. Being able to get enough sleep so that your immune system can work at its optimum level to defend the body. So a lot of times if you don't get a lot of sleep and it's a chronic type of condition, a lot of us tend to get sick quicker. A lot of us tend to deal with health issues, not feeling our full selves. That's what I tend to say sometimes when I don't get enough sleep. I I don't feel like myself. I'm not on it. I don't feel clear. Sometimes you may feel something that feels like a cloudiness, almost like a fog. Those are some of the symptoms of lack of sleep, and we want to be able to get the right amount of sleep that we need so that we can be fully functional for ourselves first and for others, our loved ones, our family, our friends. And so this really is a treat to you to just take care of yourself and love yourself, putting yourself first. And really, for a lot of people, they think the sleep is kind of just going to happen, but if it's really hard for you, you may have to schedule some sleep. Actually set a time, just like you set a time for everything else. Put sleep on your schedule. I know it sounds crazy, like, why would I need to schedule sleep? When it gets dark, I just go to sleep, right? Well, not for everybody. The thing is that I've learned in yoga and mindfulness, mind-body exercises, is that a lot of times when we are on the go, our mind is constantly on the go. And yoga helps you to retrain your mind to be at rest, to notice those thoughts, and to allow them to slowly fade away. So for many of us, we spend all day processing. Our mind is going, it's going. We can be completely still, sitting at a desk, sitting on a metro, sitting somewhere, and our mind is just going a mile a minute. I know for me, playing out scenarios, playing it out this way, how would it go this way? I mean, just everything, multitasking, And so for many of us, even when you come home, you're still processing. You taking a shower, you're processing. You're getting ready for the next day, you're still processing. So when do you turn it off? That's a good question, right? How do you turn it off? And for many of us, including myself, I didn't know how to turn it off. I just assumed it's dark, I go through my normal routine, I take a shower, I go to bed, it'll turn itself off. But it doesn't. It doesn't. For those of us where it may be difficult, we have to recognize I've basically trained my body to continue to think and process throughout the day, including the night. And when you notice that, that's when you have to step in and say, I have to do something different. What do they say? The definition of insanity is when you continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. Well, if this is not working for you, I love Dr. Phil, you got to do something different. So what are you going to do differently? Are you going to continue to do the same routine and expect that sleep is just going to come? Or are you going to step out and try something different and say, I'm going to schedule sleep. I'm going to implement some tools that hopefully will help me, and try some different things to bring relaxation and rest into your life, because it is a part of your life. One of the things that a lack of sleep affects, we've already talked a little bit about mental clarity, problem solving, your reaction time is slowed down. And there's even research that shows that when you lack sleep, you increase your rate of heart disease, kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and stroke. That's a mouthful. That is really, really serious. And notice what I said. I said increased rate. So it's not that, I don't get any sleep, I'm going to get these different ailments. But what it says is that a continued lack of sleep, not getting enough time to allow the body to restore, not allowing the body to heal, over time, that same type of lifestyle may increase your rate of those different ailments that I just listed. And so we want to make sure that we're being proactive with our health and wellness, educating ourselves, and making sure that we put some measures in place that can really help turn our lives around. And so sleep, I can't impress upon you how important sleep really is, and that it's very much underrated. We're going to talk now a little bit about yoga. So I'm so excited to talk about this topic and talking about yoga and how yoga can aid in sleep. So I always like to do a disclaimer. Yoga is not a cure-all. If you go to your computer and you Google yoga, you'll see a lot of different poses. You'll see a lot of different information. But I always like to say that yoga is a tool that can aid in alleviating some of the different things that you're dealing with, whether you're dealing with a physical ailment, whether you're dealing with some type of emotional stress or some type of physical stress. Yoga is a tool that can be used to help alleviate that. So I just want to make it clear that it's not a cure-all, but it's definitely something that is worth looking into and giving it a try, incorporating it into your lifestyle to really allow you to tune into yourself and tune the world out just for a moment and allow you time to tune into yourself and to tune into God at the same time. I find that my yoga and my meditation are in sync with my devotion. It allows me to quiet my mind and my body while I focus on Scripture, and then I have some time to really hear from God because I'm quiet. The distractions are quieted in my mind, and so it just allows for your body to be in a great posture to really reflect and to leave those things on the mat. I love that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but yoga is so good, and one of the first benefits that people think about, so yoga for sleep. So how's this going to help me? Show me some yoga postures. And that's just one aspect of it. That's not everything. So it's not that just a posture, once again, is going to cure you. So if I do this posture, I'll be able to sleep. That's not how it works. It's not a yoga is not a prescription. I can't just write down a pose for you and this is going to help cure it. But what it can do is that it can help alleviate, and yoga works really with the body, not just from a physical standpoint, which a lot of people think just surface, but it also deals with the nervous system. So that mind-body connection is really, truly important. It allows the mind to become in sync with the body. So when the mind and the nervous system is calm, the body will calm down. If you just sit for a moment, you'll notice that your body can be still, but your mind is still going. If you allow the mind to calm down, the nervous system, maybe the jitterness, the twitching, will slowly subside as well. So we're all connected. We're not just people that have a body and is separate from the mind. It's all connected. And so that's what I really enjoy about yoga, and what I really enjoy educating people about. That mind-body connection is so strong and so real. And when people really get in tune with it, I tell you the possibilities are endless. And I'm sure everyone's seen the different yoga postures that people do, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, Yoga Journal. And you're like, wow, how can they do that? How do they turn themselves into a pretzel, or how can they do that pose? And a lot of time people think, they're just naturally flexible or this and that. And there is some training behind it. There is some dedication, but it all starts in the mind. It really does. And I know that runners can really identify with this because a mind-body exercise, a lot of people don't realize one of them is running. Running is a mental workout. It really is. It's a physical workout, but there's a lot that's going on in the mind as well. And so I like to just educate people so that they understand that yoga is not just about turning yourself into a pretzel. There's so many benefits aside from the physical. There are benefits that will benefit you spiritually, emotionally, as well as physically, but as well as mentally too. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that, starting first with the physical ailments. So yoga, as I mentioned, is not a cure-all, but what the yoga postures do is They allow rotation in different joints and for you to move your body probably in ways you have never moved before. That's one of the comments that I get most from my classes, like from people that run, from people that lift weights, from people that spin. They say, I've never moved my body like this before. And that's so good because sometimes we need to do something different to get different results. So sometimes if you have certain ailments, a lot of times many of us, we have stress, but some of us have different ailments that we're dealing with that don't allow for a nice sound sleep. For example, you may be dealing with headaches throughout the day and at night. You may be dealing with arthritis. You may be dealing with back pain, different things that won't allow you to physically be in a comfortable physical posture to get good rest. Yoga is very good for that. There are different yoga postures that can really help alleviate some of those physical pain, some of the physical pain that's associated with the ailments that you're possibly dealing with. And then another benefit of yoga, as I mentioned before, is self-reflection on the mat. A lot of times, if you're able to maybe attend a class in the evening, which is great. I'm also an advocate of classes in the morning, but at the end of the day, it's so wonderful to either go to a studio, a gym, or even if you have your own home practice, and do some yoga and then have some time on the mat to reflect. Just reflect. Nothing big. Just reflect. Reflect on your day. Reflect on what went right. And reflect on what went wrong. And then once you reflect, let it go. Let it all go on the mat. What many of us lack in our lives is a time of reflection. So what happens is, in the evening when a lot of us go to bed, which some of us are shift workers and work different shifts, but a lot of people that go to bed in the evening, they reflect at night. Isn't that something? We reflect while we're lying in the bed when we're supposed to be relaxing, but that's the time at the end of the day, and maybe you've had no other time that you carved out for yourself, that you have time to really reflect on what happened. Maybe something happened that really affected you emotionally and the day went by so quickly, you really didn't even have time to process it. You didn't even have time to properly deal with it or even identify what it was that made you feel a certain way. But it all comes rushing back maybe once you retire for the evening. And so, as I mentioned, if you are in a yoga class that allows for meditation, this is a perfect opportunity to do that reflecting if you take a yoga class in the evening, right before bed, not taking it to your bed, not wherever you retire, wherever that is. Try to reflect before you go to bed and allow that time of rest to be really a time of rest and not reflection. And then lastly, yoga also teaches us how to be mindful. I spoke a little bit about that before, but we're not really trained how to process. We're just kind of trained at school how to process, but not how to turn it off, not to distinguish there's a time and a place for everything. And so we're in a culture now where as long as you're multitasking, the more you do, the more accolades you get. The more you do, the more of a superwoman you are. You know, it's almost like the busier you are and you can juggle all this and that is looked upon as you're doing great things. Wow, you can really do a lot. And people aspire to be that way. However, no one talks about how to turn it off. How do you turn it off? It's a question that I asked before. Do you know how to turn it off? And so a significant part of yoga that can help with this is meditation. Meditation allows you to just be quiet and still. And so this is the thing. A lot of people are like, I can't meditate. I can't be quiet for that long. You don't have to meditate for hours on end, okay? I usually tell people that are not used to meditating to try just starting out a minute and work yourself from 1 minute to 5 minutes. And what you simply do is you find a nice, comfortable seated position or a nice, comfortable position. So a lot of people you see a lot of people meditate, they meditate in Indian style, but some people's hips are a little tight and it feels uncomfortable. So I always caution people, decide on a position that's comfortable for you and your body and a position that you can maintain without moving around too much, without shifting too much. So for a lot of people, that may be lying back on their back with their knees bent. For some people, that may be sitting in a chair. For some, that may be just simply lying on a couch or lying on a bed. And so those are the things that I really want to educate everyone about that they may not know. They're kind of just looking at a magazine, they're looking at a video thinking that this is a hard and fast rule when it's not. Know you, know your body. What is a position that you can comfortably hold for a minute or two where you can totally relax and not be concerned about your knees are up or you can't get your hips down or this feels uncomfortable? Just find something that's comfortable for you. And then once you're there, close your eyes. So that is a part of it. You know, I don't know too many people that meditate with their eyes open, but you want to close your eyes. And you want to just slowly begin to just tune into your breathing. Notice your thoughts. Not try to control your thoughts, but take time to just notice what is running through my mind. What am I thinking about? What moment is replaying over and over again? What are my concerns? What thought is repeated throughout the day? Give yourself a moment to ask yourself that question. And so I'm going to allow you to meditate on that for a moment. What are some thoughts that are reoccurring? And we're going to go ahead and take our second commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Capri Smith of the Uncuffed Radio Show. Join me every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to learn how you can grow in your business, personal environment, and reach your true potential by uncuffing what is binding you, only on the Maybe Help You Radio Network.
If you're the parent of a child with behavioral challenges that has been suspended, expelled, or just not able to make it in a traditional school setting, there is an alternative. Call the Metropolitan Day School today. Licensed and accredited grades K through 12. Call 804-321-2595. Financial assistance and after-school programs are available. Let's turn this school year around right now at the Metropolitan Day School, where Eagles soar. Call Ms. Thomas today. 804-321-2595.
Hi there, I'm Rita Ricks, and I host Spirit Journeys Radio every Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock. Our theme for March is being in the present. As human beings, we spend way too much time focusing on what happened in the past or what might happen in the future, and we don't spend enough time living and enjoying today. Today will never happen again. So just imagine how much of your life you miss when you live outside of the moment. So join me 8 o'clock p.m. Tuesday as I coach you on how to manage your wandering mind. Also, my guests will share tools and processes they use in their daily journey to stay and be in the present. Remember, my purpose is to walk with you through 2015. We'll talk more on Tuesday.
Hi, my name is Letitia M., owner of May We Help You Network. I want to thank you for joining us and enjoying our host here on MWHY Radio Network. Please visit us online at mwhyradio.com and like us on facebook.com/MWHY Radio. Tune in to learn more about our host and upcoming contests and our TV programming that'll be coming to you soon. MWHY Radio, bringing together business, community, and you.
Welcome back, everyone. Before we continue on talking a little bit more about how yoga can help with our stress, we want to thank one of our sponsors. It's that time again for the 5th Annual Let's Get Serious Health, Wellness, and Fitness Expo. Those of you who have attended this expo before can attest to the fact that this event is nothing but pure family fun. So come out again for this year and enjoy Sherry Schofield International hosts over 1,000 attendees. The goal this year is at least 1,300 registered attendees. So visit letsgetserious.eventbrite.com to register for this free event. Thank you so much for that wonderful event that's going to be going on. I hope many of you all will be able to attend. And we're going to go ahead and dive right back into where we left off, talking about meditation and calming down that mental chatter. So those things that are repeated in your mind, you want to take some time to really focus on where that's coming from, and then allow those thoughts to just dissipate. And then before you know it, you'll be meditating for maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. And many of us that are of the Christian faith already have a devotional period with God. Usually in the morning is usually when I do my devotion, and I also meditate. And we all know that in the Bible talks about meditation. But many of us think that the devotion is the same as meditation. So we're coming towards the end of our radio show, and we're going to end with our meditative moment. And so we're going to allow some time with Him and with ourselves. But before we start that, I want to provide everyone with a yoga pose that you can possibly try to aid in bringing a little bit more relaxation to your body as well as your mind. As I said, this is not a cure-all, but child's pose. For many of you all, you may have heard that before. For some, it may be something new you've never heard before. Child's pose is done on hands and knees, so I'll direct you through it. Child's pose you would do on hands and knees, making sure the knees are right underneath the hips and the wrists are right underneath the shoulders. And you want to have good alignment before you move into the pose. And for a nice restorative child's pose, you want to take the knees apart so that you can give yourself space for your torso. So you take the knees apart, more than hip-width distance. If you're on a mat, you would take the knees off the mat. So you're making like a nice wide V, and bring the big toes to touch at the back. With the arms extended on the mat, you would send your hips back towards your heels. So it's almost like your hips are sitting on your heels. But instead of having your torso up, you're going to lean your torso all the way down so that your forehead touches the mat with your arms extended in front of you for child's pose. If that's not comfortable for you or you have knee issues, what you can do is you can roll up a towel or a blanket, and you can place that underneath your knees, or you can place it in between your shins and your thighs if you have knee pain on the inside of your knee. Also, if child's pose is not working, instead of dropping the hips down towards the heels, you can leave the hips high for rabbit pose. Simply extend the arms down the mat, the head comes down, and just keep the hips high. Child's pose is a nice restorative pose that allows everything to turn inward. so that you have time to reflect. Very familiar to fetal position. Our very first position when we were in our mother's wombs, a position that brings great comfort. And so if child's pose isn't working for you, maybe lying on your side in fetal position will. Tune into your body and see how your body reacts. What position brings you comfort? And just tune into that. And so wherever you are, I've already talked a little bit about meditation and how you can position your body. So you can decide to either lie all the way back on your back, maybe with your knees bent or extended down on the floor or the bed or the couch, or you can sit Indian style with your legs crossed or your legs straight in front of you. Just find some position that works for you and your body. I love to see people in my class in different meditative positions because everybody's body is different. It's not one size fits all. So tune into you and find out what works for you. We're going to meditate on Scripture, John 14:27. And the Scripture says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." And so just think about what that scripture means to you as you focus in on your breathing in and out through your nose, nice and deep. Peace I leave with you. Let not your heart be troubled. As you enjoy the stillness, as you breathe in His promise. On the exhale the stress. Inhale peace and what that means to you and what it feels like throughout your body. Exhale the worries. Inhale the truth. Exhale the anxiety. And all that you do, continue to breathe. As you allow the body to be nice and still, focusing on God's Word and His promise that He's given specifically to you. Allow the Word to become real in your life, real in your soul, real in your circumstance. Knowing that all you have to do to make it is to breathe. Taking 2 more deep breaths here through the nose. Slowly begin to open the eyes and give yourself a nice big hug. I'm so glad that you all joined me today for my very first radio show, Fit and Flow Yoga Radio with Sherrell. This was an amazing show. I'm so glad that you all joined me today. We learned a lot of interesting things, the importance of sleep, different stress triggers, and good and bad stress, as well as the different ways that yoga can help bring a little bit more relaxation to our lives. Also focusing on the spiritual component of the wonderful example that God has given us to work and also to rest. So no more work, but having some balance. If you're interested in learning more about Fit and Flow Yoga with Sherrell and the services that I offer, you can check out my website at www.fitandflowllc.com. And you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and you can also find me on Instagram as Flowing Yogi. And as a special treat to my viewers, go ahead and check out my relaxation article, Faith and Fitness Magazine, and that's faithandfitness.net. If you will type in my name in the search box, you will find that article, and you'll also be able to find the video associated with that article so that you can relax and flow yoga style. So I'm so glad you all joined me today. Be blessed, family, and always remember, when life happens, breathe in God's goodness, surrender to your power, and embrace your flow. Until next time,